Hello, I'm Cadence, and welcome to my NHD project.
Hey, it's mine too, Jorge Argueta.
More or less so.
Anyway, our NHD project is about how Nintendo saved the video game industry all the way back in 1985 with the North American release of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES for short.
They did so by releasing games far better than the games released on Atari. More about them later, managing to build the entire industry up from the ground, and they ended up inspiring games and consoles of today.
Before we can move on to the NES, I have one question.
What is it?
Do you know what Updog is?
No, what's up, dog?
Not much. What's up with you?
Oh my god, that was horrible. Anyhows, before the NES and Nintendo, we had Atari and arcades. Now, if you look at Atari games against their arcade counterparts, you can pretty much tell which one was preferred. Atari. Although the games on Atari were of poorer quality, it was still amazing to have games at home that you didn't have to pay 25 cents every time to play. But not even that fact could save them from what happened next.
Dun dun dun! E.T. for the Atari 2600.
Actually, it wasn't just E.T.
Right. It was Atari's awful job at investing in games, mostly ET though. See, what happened was that Atari made a false investment in ET, thinking that the new movie would give the 2600 more publicity, and ordered millions of copies to both console and game.
However, people began to take on and realize how bad Atari games actually were compared to other media, thus causing not as many cartridges and consoles to be sold, making Atari go bankrupt.
In order to keep these games from being viewed by anyone, Atari took all of the unsold consoles and cartridges and buried them in the middle of a New Mexico desert.
Never to be seen again until some bright idiot thought it was a good idea to put it up on an emulator.
Achievement unlocked. Ultimate trollage.
Oh my god.
After Atari, people just kind of stopped making games.
Yep, after Atari, video games had an image problem. People didn't give them the respect they once had, for many different reasons.
So there were no new games for years. At least none praiseworthy, until...
Finally!
Finally. Okay, that's enough finally.
Okay. Nintendo released a system right before the crash called the Family Computer, or Famicom.
The Famicom was a hit in Japan, but it had trouble making its way over to the US.
Because of recent troubles with Atari, Nintendo had trouble coming up with a way to bring the Famicom to the States and other parts of the world. So Nintendo hatched a plan that will explain so much about how games are marketed.
Since video games were frowned upon, Nintendo decided to market it as a toy that comes with a robot called Rob.
But since the toy aisle is often split between girls' toys and boys' toys, even though those are both incredibly superficial, they still had to choose whether to market to boys or girls, and they chose to market to boys.
Which is why video games are still marketed towards guys than girls.
Yep, they also designed it so it doesn't really look like what a console would look like.
Yeah, I mean, look at the NES next to the Atari or Famicom.
While the Atari and Famicom look more like kids' toys, the NES ironically looks more serious, despite its marketing.
Which was perfect for the message they were trying to pull off.
That this is a new type of gaming.
But with Sega coming up with a console with slightly better graphics, Nintendo had some competition.
You'd probably think I was crazy if I said that modern consoles such as the PlayStation wouldn't exist without Nintendo.
Either crazy or really opinionated. Probably both.
Well, it's true. Nintendo was helping Sony develop the technology for the first PlayStation, but drops out last minute.
So without Nintendo helping create the PlayStation, we wouldn't have PS4 or PS Vita today?
Yup.
What about the Xbox or the old Sega consoles?
Well, people were amazed by the N64's 4 controller slots, which made its way to the Dreamcast and the original Xbox. Nothing major, but I can't imagine playing without 4 players.
Well,
Now comes for the final piece that throws it all together.
But how does a company selling good games relate to exchange?
I think you just answered your own question there, buddy. The real question is, what does meeting ends with another culture in order to profit have to do with encounter?
Even I noticed that, Cadence. The real question is, how does recreating an entire industry have to do with exploration?
Huh. I actually don't know. Well, we got a 2 out of 3, which is still more than needed.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we don't have to get 3 out of 3. We only had to get 1 out of 3.
Oh, so I guess it is.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much wraps up our NHD project.
Wait, no, I still have more to say.
Roll credits!
When gamers came along, the planet laughed at us. But this is gaming in the future, and you haven't heard the last of us. Dismissing this is just an enormous fallacy. So open your mind and let it alter your reality. Hey geeks, I bring a message from the future. There's a new revolution headed to computers. It's 73, but it won't be too long till we can get the TV to play a game of Pong. But it's time to break out of the house. The crazy days of space invaders await us. Arcade potatoes, swap the shooting range for computer games. Arcade renaissance, pre-8-bits booming days. A new decade, welcome to the 80s. Pac-Man's the latest new craze, qubits the rage. The first personal computers let loose as manic minor graduate time. As the fight is truly useless. Elite gave legions of wee little boys a deep space region of freedom of choice. Now here comes the console, the first one so portended an industry of dimensions untold. The birth of franchise, Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Monty Mole, Italia, the others. But the list to go on and on, longer than I can tell, until the 90s when the game became handheld. Meanwhile I bought stories of another time and point a click arrive on the shores of Monkey Island. Ever wanna see your chums beat right up? Then down your son you need to try Street Fighter. A tournament with all your buddies in your front room. It's all good until you fight online on Doom. Hijack your mind, your mama can't abide this. Night trap, my lap, morals of tomorrow crisis. What are we doing to our youth? They're shooting people glued to screens with super glue. Computers need to be banned when the laws broke. Ban manhunt, ban Grand Theft Auto. Try something musical, but if you've a sore throat, have what you're after. A rap at the rap. Tomb Raider, the tune invade your brain. Get in away and you'll make it taste the pain. The sport's a game always, and it's hard fact. And the game became a sport and its name was StarCraft. Kids used to play with dolls in a house. The Sims is the same but control with a mouse, yeah. Open worlds about already 3D. Hey, until the Elder Scrolls and GTA. Wait till you see the scale of the monsters and bosses that you face in Shadow of the Colossus. Things are getting bigger, more decision, more maps. Millions of simultaneous players in Warcraft. All the people, so many people. See your whole family can get involved in Wii Sports. And more people means more money, more flair. For big blockbusters, card modern warfare. Even more people, more freedom, more indie games. Limbo, Fez, Super Meat Boy, Brave. Revolutionizing gameplay and mind blast. Constructing infinite destructible worlds. Minecraft, gaming on the telephone. Yes, I know it sounds absurd. Fruit Ninja, Farmville, reverse. When gamers came along, the planet laughed at us. But this is gaming in the future, man, you haven't heard the last of us. Dismissing this is just an enormous fallacy. So open your mind and let it alter your reality. When gamers came along, the planet laughed at us. But this is gaming in the future, and you haven't heard the last of us. Dismissing this is just an enormous fallacy. So open your mind and let it alter your reality. When gamers came along, the planet laughed at us. But this is gaming in the future, and you haven't heard the last of us. Dismissing this is just an enormous fallacy. So open your mind and let it alter your reality. When gamers came along, the planet laughed at us. But this is gaming in the future, and you haven't heard the last of us. Dismissing this is just an enormous fallacy. So open your mind and let it alter your reality. When gamers came along, the planet laughed at us. But this is gaming in the future, man, you haven't heard the last of us. Dismissing this is just an enormous fallacy. So open your mind and let it alter